A brave girl named Adize was cast out by her father and their villagers, but she rose to become a warrior queen. Now she must fight to save the very village that once rejected her. Will she rule or fall? In a village called Umweze, there was a strong and brave girl named Adeze. She was the chief's daughter, but when she made a mistake, her father sent her away. Alone and afraid, Adeze had to fight to survive. But she did not give up. She became a warrior, smarter and stronger than ever before. One day, her village needed her again. A great danger was coming, and only she could save them. Would they accept her back? Could she lead her people? This is the story of Adeze, the girl who became a queen, a warrior, and a legend. Will she win? Or will she lose everything? Find out in this powerful story of courage, love, and strength. The night air was thick with the scent of roasting yams, and the village square hummed with chatter. Chief Obiora sat in his obi, the great ancestral hut of his lineage, listening as his kinsmen praised his wisdom. He was a man of honor, a pillar of tradition, a keeper of the sacred laws of Umueze village. His words held weight. His name commanded respect. But tonight, his heart boiled with shame. "Adize, kneel!" Obiora thundered, his voice shaking the wooden beams of his hut. His teenage daughter, barely 17, trembled before him. Her once bright eyes were clouded with tears, her hands shaking as she clutched her belly, a belly that betrayed the secret she had tried to keep hidden. "I am sorry, Papa," Adeze whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding in her chest. "Sorry?" Obiora spat, his nostrils flaring. "You disgrace me. You disgrace our ancestors. A child out of wedlock? You will bring ruin to this household." The elders murmured among themselves. The village women shook their heads in disappointment. A chief's daughter, heavy with child, and no husband in sight? It was an abomination. Obiora clenched his fists, his pride wounded. "You will leave this house tonight," he declared. "You are no daughter of mine." Gasps filled the air, but no one dared challenge the chief's word. Adize's mother, Neka, fell to her knees, pleading, "My husband, she is still our daughter. Let us find a solution." "There is no solution for shame," Obiora snapped. "She has cursed herself." Adeze sobbed, gripping her mother's hand. But it was of no use. That night, under the cold gaze of the moon, she was cast out from her father's house, left to fend for herself in a world that would show her no mercy. Days passed, and Adeze found shelter in the hut of an old widow on the outskirts of the village. The woman, Mama Eke, was known for taking in lost souls, but even her kindness could not ease Adize's pain. She missed home. She missed her mother. And worst of all, she feared for the life growing inside her. Back in Chief Obiora's compound, the once thriving yam barn had begun to wither. His farm, which had always yielded the best harvest in Umweze, was now plagued with rot. The villagers whispered among themselves. Had the gods turned against the chief? One morning, Obiora woke to find half of his livestock dead. The goats that once pranced around his compound lay stiff, their lifeless eyes staring into nothingness. His heart pounded in his chest. Was this a coincidence? Or was it something more? That evening, his closest friend, Ichi Okonkwo, paid him a visit. "Obiora, the village is talking," he said carefully. "They say the spirits are angry." Obiora scoffed, though unease crawled under his skin. "Angry over what?" Okonkwo hesitated before answering. "Over Adize." Obiora's face darkened. "Do not speak that name in my presence." But deep down, fear gnawed at him. Had he truly brought a curse upon himself? Obiora tried to dismiss Okonkwo's words, but his mind refused to rest. That night, he tossed and turned in his sleeping mat, haunted by whispers that seemed to drift in from the shadows of his hut. They were faint at first, like the rustling of dry leaves, but as the hours dragged on, they grew louder. "Obiora, you have forsaken your own blood. Obiora, restore what has been broken before it is too late." His body jerked awake, drenched in sweat. His breath came in short gasps. He reached for the wooden lamp beside him and lit it, but the hut was empty. Was his mind playing tricks on him? Or had the spirits truly come to warn him? Morning brought no comfort. As Obiora stepped outside, his once glorious compound felt lifeless. The walls of his obi, once polished with pride, seemed to crack under an invisible weight. Even his wives, who once bustled around with purpose, moved with a sluggishness that disturbed him. Then came the final blow. His farmhands rushed in, panic evident on their faces. "My chief, the yams, they are gone." Obiora's stomach tightened. "What do you mean, gone?" "We checked the barn this morning," one of them stammered. "The yams are either rotting or missing altogether. The soil in it rejects the new crops. We do not understand." Obiora stormed to his farmland, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. What he saw made his breath hitch. The once fertile land, the pride of his ancestors, was barren. The crops that had begun to sprout were now shriveled, blackened as though scorched by unseen flames. The villagers had gathered, whispering among themselves. "It is a curse," one old man muttered. "The ancestors are punishing him," another agreed. Obiora turned to his farmhands. "Fix it. Replant the crops," he ordered, his voice tight with desperation. The men exchanged worried glances. One dared to step forward. "My chief, we have tried. Nothing will grow." Obiora's hands curled into fists. The shame of Adaeza's disgrace had been unbearable, but this was worse. His status as a chief, his wealth, his power, all of it, was slipping through his fingers. Was Okonkwo right? Was this punishment for turning his back on his daughter? No, that was nonsense. He was Chief Obiora, a man who upheld the laws of the land. He had done what was right. Hadn't he? On the outskirts of the village, Adaeze sat in front of Mama Eke's small hut, staring blankly at the dirt floor. The past few weeks had felt like an eternity. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, and exhaustion made her limbs feel heavy. She had never known true suffering before. As the daughter of the most respected chief in the village, she had lived a life of comfort. She had eaten the finest meals, worn the best clothes, and had never once worried about where she would sleep. Now she had nothing. Mama Eke, kind as she was an old woman with little to offer. She gave Adaeze shelter and shared what little food she had, but it was barely enough. Adaeza's pregnancy was growing more difficult by the day. She had once believed that the father of her child, Chick, would come for her, but he had disappeared, vanishing like mist in the morning sun. "Men?" Mama Eke muttered one evening as they sat by the fire. "They make promises when the night is warm, then forget them when the sun rises." Adaeze swallowed the lump in her throat. She wanted to be strong, but each day brought new struggles. The stares of villagers burned into her whenever she dared to step out. The whispers followed her like a shadow. "Shameless girl. She should have been stoned. She will bring bad luck to anyone who helps her." She tried to ignore them, but the words cut deep. One evening, as she returned from fetching water, she saw a group of village boys eyeing her. They were young, barely older than she was, but their sneers made her stomach churn. "Look at the chief's disgrace," one of them taunted. "She thinks she's still important," another jeered. Then one of them reached for her arm. Adaeze yanked away, fear spiking through her. "Leave me alone," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. But they only laughed. "We just want to see if a fallen princess still carries herself like royalty." One of them grabbed her wrist. Adaeza's scream cut through the night. She fought, kicking and thrashing, but the boys only laughed harder. Just as panic swallowed her, a sharp crack echoed through the air. Mama Eke stood at the entrance of the hut, a thick cane in her hand. Her eyes burned with fury. "You touch her again and you will answer to me," she thundered. The boys scattered like frightened chickens. Tears streamed down Adaeze's face. She sank to the ground, sobbing. Mama Ike knelt beside her, brushing her hair back. "Hush, child," she whispered. "You must learn to be strong. The world is not kind to women like us." Adaise knew she was right. But how much more could she endure? Chief Obiora's troubles only grew worse. A week after the devastating loss of his yam harvest, word reached him that the elders of the village had gathered in secret. A chief was only as powerful as his prosperity, and with his lands barren and his wealth shrinking, whispers of his downfall spread like wildfire. One evening, as he sat in his obi drinking palm wine, a delegation of elders arrived. Their faces were grim, their steps slow and deliberate. Ichi Okonkwo stood at the forefront, his expression unreadable. "Obiora," he began, his voice steady, "the council has called a meeting regarding your position as chief." Obiora scoffed, placing his wooden cup down. "A meeting? About what?" "The spirits have turned against you," Okonkwo said, his tone edged with caution. "Your farms have failed, your livestock is dying, and the village is suffering. The people believe your hands are unclean." Obiora's eyes darkened. "You dare question my honor?" "It is not I who questions it," Okonkwo said. "It is the gods." The weight of his words settled in the room like a thick fog. Obiora's jaw tightened. He wanted to fight, to deny it all. But deep in his heart, fear clawed at him. "The council will make their decision in 2 days," another elder added. "Until then, I suggest you seek guidance from the spirits." The men left, leaving Obiora alone with his thoughts. The spirits? Could it truly be the ancestors punishing him for Adaeze? For the first time in his life, doubt crept into his proud heart. Adaise woke in the middle of the night with a sharp pain in her stomach. At first, she thought it was hunger, but as the pain intensified, she knew her time had come. "Mama Eke!" she gasped, clutching her belly. The old woman rushed to her side, her face filled with urgency. "The child is coming," she whispered. "Breathe, my dear. Breathe." Adaeze screamed as another wave of pain tore through her body. The tiny hut felt suffocating, the walls pressing in on her. She had no midwife, no family by her side, only Mama Eke, whose frail hands worked quickly to prepare for the birth. Hours passed in agony. Sweat drenched Adaise's body as she fought to bring her child into the world. She wanted to give up, to let the pain consume her, but Mama Ike's voice kept her grounded. "You are strong," the old woman whispered. "You are stronger than you know." With one final push, Adaise's cry mingled with the first wail of her newborn. The sound filled the hut, breaking the silence of the night. Mama Eke held up the tiny child, her wrinkled face breaking into a smile. "A son," she announced. Adaise, weak from exhaustion, let out a sob. A son. She had given birth to a son. But as she looked at her child, a new fear gripped her heart. What kind of life would he have in a world that had already rejected his mother? Chief Obiora had never been one to seek spiritual guidance, but desperation had a way of humbling even the proudest men. As dawn broke, he made his way to the hut of Aguba, the village diviner. The old seer sat cross-legged on a mat, his eyes closed as if he had been expecting Obiora. The air inside the hut smelled of burning herbs, thick and suffocating. "You seek answers," Aguba said before Obiora could speak. Obiora swallowed hard. "The village turns against me. My land is cursed. My title is slipping. Tell me what I must do to regain my honor." Aguba opened his eyes, dark and piercing. He reached for his divination cowries and cast them on the mat. A deep frown settled on his face as he studied their arrangement. "The ancestors are angry," he murmured. "You have broken the sacred bond of blood." Obiora stiffened. "What bond?" "You cast away your own daughter," Aguba said, his voice low but firm. "The gods do not forgive a father who rejects his child. Until you make amends, your suffering will only grow." Obiora clenched his fists. He wanted to dismiss the words as foolishness, but something inside him twisted painfully. "How do I make amends?" he asked reluctantly. Aguba leaned forward. "Find her. Beg for her forgiveness before it is too late." Obiora's pride warred with his fear. Could he truly face the daughter he had cast away? While Obiora wrestled with his conscience, danger lurked in the shadows of Mama Ike's hut. A group of men had gathered outside, their faces hidden by the darkness. Word had spread that Adaize had given birth, and some villagers believed that her child was an abomination, a cursed child, born from shame. "She must leave," one man whispered, "or worse things will happen." Inside, Adaize rocked her newborn, oblivious to the threat lurking beyond the thin walls. But Mama Eke sensed something was wrong. The air felt heavy, charged with unseen malice. Then came the knock, a single, deliberate thud against the wooden door. Mama Ike's heart pounded. "Who is it?" Silence. Then another knock. Adaize tensed, clutching her baby tighter. Fear wrapped around her throat like a noose. Mama Eke grabbed a wooden staff and moved to the door. She had protected Adaize before, and she would do it again. But as she opened the door, a strong hand shoved her back. The danger had arrived. The men stormed into the hut, their eyes filled with hostility. "She cannot stay here," one of them growled. "She will bring ruin to us all." Adaize held her son close, her breath coming in short gasps. "Please," she whispered, "he is just a child." But their hearts were made of stone. Mama Ike stepped forward, gripping her staff. "If you wish to harm her, you will have to go through me." The men hesitated. Though old, Mama Eke was respected, feared even. "Leave before sunrise," one of them warned, "or we will return." As soon as they left, Mama Eke turned to Adaize. "We must go." Tears streamed down Adaize's face. "Go where?" "Somewhere safe," Mama Ike said. "But we must not wait." Gathering what little they had, they slipped into the night, leaving behind the only home Adaize had known since her banishment. With her son in her arms, she walked into the unknown. Obiora stood at the edge of the village, staring into the forest path that led to the outskirts. He had made his decision. He would find Adaize. But would she forgive him? Would she even listen? Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. Each step was a battle against his pride. But he knew if he did not fix what had been broken, he would lose everything. The search for Adaize had begun. The forest was thick with the scent of damp earth and the rustling of unseen creatures. Adaize clutched her son tightly to her chest as she followed Mama Eke through the winding paths, her heart pounding with every snap of a twig. The villagers' threats still echoed in her mind. If they were caught, they would not be shown mercy. "Where are we going?" Adaize whispered, her breath ragged from exhaustion. Mama Ike didn't slow her pace. "There is an old friend beyond the hills. She will shelter us." "But what if they follow us?" The old woman stopped and turned to her, eyes dark with warning. "Then we must pray they do not." Night fell, and with it came an eerie silence. The journey was slow, Adaize's weakened state, and the newborn's cries forced them to stop often. At one point, a distant howl sent chills down their spines, and Adaize tightened her grip on her son. "Keep moving," Mama Eke urged. "We are not safe yet." As the hours dragged on, Adaize's feet ached, her body begged for rest, but she pushed forward. She had no choice. She would not let her son suffer for her mistakes. Back in Umuese, Chief Obiora's absence did not go unnoticed. The council had expected him to fight for his title, but instead, he had vanished into the wilderness. Ichi Okonkwo stood before the elders, his face set in a grim expression. "It is clear," he announced. "Obiora has abandoned his position. We must choose a new leader." The murmurs of agreement were swift, but one voice rose above them all, Ezeyakun, Obiora's longtime rival. "I warned you all," he said, his tone laced with triumph. "Obiora was unfit to lead, and now he runs like a coward." The elders exchanged uneasy glances. It was true that Obiora's reign had been prosperous once, but recent events had shaken their faith. "Who then shall take his place?" one of them asked. Ezekun stepped forward, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Who better than I? I have wealth, power, and the favor of the people." Though some hesitated, others nodded in agreement. With Obiora gone, the village was vulnerable. A decision had to be made soon. And in Obiora's absence, the wolves were circling. A storm broke out as Adize and Mama Eke neared the hills. Lightning split the sky, and rain lashed down in angry sheets. Adize stumbled, her body weak from exhaustion, but Mama Eke's grip was firm. "We must find shelter," the old woman shouted over the roaring wind. Through the darkness, they spotted an abandoned hut nestled between the trees. Without hesitation, they rushed inside, dripping wet and shivering from the cold. Adize cradled her son, who whimpered softly, his tiny body shaking. "Shh, my love. Mama is here," she whispered, rocking him gently. Mama Eke scanned the hut warily. "We will rest here for the night, but we must leave at dawn." Adize nodded, too tired to argue. She leaned against the wooden wall, her body aching. Sleep took her, but not peacefully. Dreams of faceless men chasing her through the village haunted her, their hands grasping, their voices condemning. She jolted awake at the sound of rustling outside. Her blood ran cold. Someone was there. Mama Eke's eyes snapped open at the sound of Adize's gasp. She held up a hand, motioning for silence. The rustling outside grew louder. Adize's breath hitched. Was it the villagers? Had they found them? Then, a voice low, hoarse, desperate. "Please help me." Mama Eke hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward. Slowly, she pushed open the wooden door. Outside, slumped against a tree, was a man. He was drenched, his clothes torn, and his face smeared with dirt and blood. His chest rose and fell unevenly, his breath ragged. "Who are you?" Mama Ike demanded, her voice sharp. The man struggled to lift his head. "A traveler," he rasped. "Please, I need shelter." Adize peered out, her instincts screaming at her to be cautious. But something about the stranger's weakened state softened her heart. "He is wounded," she whispered. "We cannot leave him to die." Mama Ike's expression remained unreadable, but after a moment, she nodded. "Bring him inside." As they dragged the man into the hut, Adize couldn't shake the feeling that their journey had just taken an even more dangerous turn. The morning came with an uneasy silence. The storm had passed, but the air remained thick with tension. The stranger groaned as he stirred awake. His face, now visible in the light, sent a shockwave through Adize's body. It was Chaik. Her heart lurched. The man who had promised her the world, the man who had left her to face her disgrace alone, he was here, broken and desperate. "You," she whispered, her voice trembling. Chaik blinked, confusion clouding his features. Then recognition struck, and his eyes widened. "Adize?" Mama Eke looked between them, her expression dark. "You know this man?" Adize's emotions warred within her, betrayal, sadness. "He is the father of my child," she said bitterly. Chaik's gaze dropped to the sleeping baby in her arms. A storm of emotions crossed his face: guilt, regret, something else she couldn't quite place. "Adize, I never meant to." "Save your words," she snapped. "Where were you when I needed you? When the village cast me out? When I had to fight for my survival?" Cheek opened his mouth, but no words came. He had none. Mama Eke watched them carefully. "Whether you trust him or not, we must move. We are not safe here." Adize swallowed hard. She didn't know if she could ever forgive Chaik. But one thing was certain: his reappearance would change everything. And whether that was for better or worse, only time would tell. The silence inside the hut was suffocating. Adize stared at Cheek, her heart warring with emotions she didn't want to acknowledge. The man who had once whispered sweet promises to her was now sitting weak and broken before her, the father of her child, yet a stranger in every way that mattered. Cheek ran a hand over his face, his eyes flickering between Adize and the sleeping baby in her arms. "I know you hate me," he whispered. Adize's jaw tightened. Hate is too kind a word. Mama Eke cleared her throat, her sharp gaze on Chick. "Why are you here, boy? What happened to you?" Cheek exhaled shakily. I was attacked. Bandits. They took everything. I barely escaped with my life." Mama Ike hummed, unconvinced. A man only runs into misfortune when his spirit is troubled. Chaik lowered his head, shame flickering in his expression. Maybe I deserve it. Adize scoffed. That much is true. But even as she spat the words, doubt crept in. Was it truly fate that had brought Cheek back into her life? Or something more sinister? Back in Umueza, news of Chief Obiora's absence had spread like wildfire. The elders had gathered in the square, their voices heated with debate. The chief has abandoned his people, Eziakun declared, his tone triumphant. Our village needs a leader, and I am ready to take his place. Some elders murmured in agreement, while others exchanged uneasy glances. We cannot decide so soon, Ichi Okonkwo interjected. Obiora has not been gone long. He may yet return. And if he does, Ezekun sneered, will you welcome back a cursed man? A man who angered the spirits? The crowd tensed. A young villager stepped forward. What if Chief Obiora is seeking his daughter? If he brings her back, will the spirits be appeased? Ezekun's eyes darkened. That girl is a stain on this village. If he brings her back, it will only prove he is unfit to rule. The whispers grew louder. The village was on the brink of a decision that would change everything. In the hut, Adize fed her son while Cheek sat in silence, his gaze flickering toward her every few moments. He looked like he wanted to speak, but held back. Finally, he cleared his throat. Adize, let me help you. She stiffened. Help me? She let out a bitter laugh. Like you helped me before? Chaik flinched. I made a mistake, he admitted. I was a coward, but I want to make things right. Mama Ike watched him closely. And how do you intend to do that, boy? Cheek exhaled. I know of a place far from Umueze. A village where no one will judge you, where we can start fresh. Adize narrowed her eyes. We? Chaik hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I want to be there for my son. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but give me a chance to prove myself. Mama Eke pursed her lips. Traveling with a newborn is dangerous, and what if you're lying? I'm not, Cheek said firmly. I swear it. Adize's mind whirled. Could she trust him? Could she risk it? If she stayed, the villagers would come for her. But if she left with Chaik, she might be walking into another betrayal. She had to decide soon. Chief Obiora moved through the dense forest, his steps slow and deliberate. He had left the village under the cover of darkness, his pride weighing him down like an iron chain. The village diviner's words echoed in his mind. Find her. Beg for her forgiveness before it is too late. Obiora had spent his life commanding respect, never bowing to anyone. The thought of kneeling before his daughter, of admitting his wrong, felt like swallowing fire. But his suffering had become unbearable. His wealth was gone. His health was failing. His people were turning against him. He had no choice. He reached a fork in the road and paused, scanning the ground for signs of movement. He knew Adize couldn't have gone far. He would find her. And when he did, would she even look him in the eyes? Would she even listen? He pushed forward, unaware that his greatest trial had only just begun. Adize sat outside the hut, staring at the rising sun. Her heart was heavy with indecision. Mama Eke stepped beside her. You are troubled. Adize sighed. I don't know if I should trust him. The old woman nodded. You have every right to doubt, but fear will not protect you, child. Only wisdom will. Inside, Chaik sat by the fire, silent. Her son stirred in her arms, his tiny fingers curling around hers. He was innocent, blameless in all of this. Could she really deny him the chance to know his father? Chaik stood. We leave at nightfall, he said. If you choose to come, I will protect you with my life. Araiza's throat tightened. The time had come to decide her fate. Little did she know, her father was closing in. And when their paths finally crossed, nothing would ever be the same again. The night was still, but Adize's heart was anything but. She sat inside the hut, staring at her son as he slept, her mind racing with thoughts of the unknown. Chaik was outside, gathering supplies for their journey. His presence unnerved her, but a part of her wanted to believe he was sincere. Mama Eke sat near the fire, her old eyes flickering with worry. Leaving with him is a risk, she murmured, but staying here is an even greater one. Adaize exhaled slowly. What if he betrays me again? Mama Eke placed a hand on hers. Then you will rise again, as you always have. A rustling sound outside made them freeze. Adaize's breath hitched. Chike? She whispered. The door creaked open, and Cheek entered, his face grim. We are not alone, he said. Adaize's stomach clenched. Someone was watching them. Chief Obiora crouched behind thick foliage, his breath coming in quiet, measured puffs. He had been tracking Adaize for 2 days, and now, at last, he had found her. His heart ached at the sight of his daughter, thinner than he remembered, her face hardened by suffering, and in her arms, the child, his grandchild. For the first time, shame hit him like a heavy stone. He had thrown her away, and now, he had to ask for something he had never asked for before her forgiveness. But before he could reveal himself, another voice carried through the night. We leave now, Chike said. The longer we wait, the more dangerous it becomes. Obiora's eyes narrowed. Who was this man? And where was he planning to take his daughter? They moved quickly, slipping through the forest with only the moon to guide them. Adaize held her son close, her ears sharp for any sounds behind them. Chike led the way, his steps sure. He had said he knew where they were going, but Adaize had started to doubt him. Then she saw it. A group of men waiting by the riverbank. Her heart stopped. Chike, she whispered, her voice trembling. Who are they? Chike hesitated, then turned to her. His face was full of regret. I didn't have a choice. Adaize's blood ran cold. You sold us out. Before she could react, strong hands grabbed her. She struggled, kicking and thrashing, but the men were too strong. Chike looked away. Tears burned in her eyes. He had betrayed her again. From the shadows, Chief Obiora watched the scene unfold. Rage boiled inside him as he saw Adaize struggling against the men. His daughter was being taken. By the time he emerged, the men were dragging her toward the river. Let her go! Obiora roared. The men turned, startled by the voice of the chief they had thought was gone. Who are you? One of them sneered. Obiora stepped forward, his stance firm. I am Chief Obiora of Umueze, and that is my daughter. The men exchanged glances, suddenly unsure. Then one of them smirked. She is ours now, old man. Unless you wish to fight for her. Obiora's hands clenched into fists. I will. And so, the battle began. Obiora fought like a man possessed. Though age had slowed him, his fury made up for it. He struck down the first attacker with a powerful blow, sending the man crashing to the ground. The others hesitated, realizing they had underestimated him. Adaize took the opportunity to act. With all her strength, she bit the hand of the man holding her. He yelped, loosening his grip just enough for her to break free. Chike tried to intervene, but Adaize turned on him with a glare that burned. Do not touch me, she spat. Chike hesitated, then fled into the night. Obiora knocked the last man to the ground. Blood dripped from his lip, but he barely noticed. He turned to Adaize, his breath ragged. She stared at him, unsure of what to say. Obiora swallowed hard. Come home, Adaize. Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time, she saw something in her father she had never seen before. Regret. The journey back was long and heavy with unspoken words. Mama Eke walked beside them, her expression unreadable. Obiora carried his grandson, his grip gentle yet firm. The child was light in his arms, and for the first time, he felt the weight of the life he had almost lost. Adaize kept her distance, her heart still raw. She had dreamt of going home, but not like this. Would the village accept her? Would she even belong anymore? She didn't know. But the closer they got to Umueze, the more fear gnawed at her heart. Because she knew her father's battle had only just begun. The moment they stepped foot in Umuese, whispers erupted like wildfire. Is that not the chief's daughter? She dares to return. Obiora held his head high, but Adize felt the weight of their stares. Izikun stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. You bring this disgrace back into our village? Obiora's voice was firm. She is my daughter. Ezikun scoffed. She is a curse. Obiora took a step forward. Then I too am cursed. And if that is so, then let the spirits judge me. The village fell silent. Adeza's breath caught in her throat. Her father was willing to risk everything for her. But would the village forgive them? The elders gathered. A decision had to be made. Obiora stood before them, Adeze by his side, her son in her arms. The spirits punished me, Obiora admitted, because I turned away my own blood. The elders murmured among themselves. Izikun sneered. You expect us to believe the gods care for a girl who shamed her lineage? Ichi Okonkwo spoke. And yet, the chief has suffered greatly. His land has withered, his title threatened. Perhaps the spirits have spoken. The village was divided. Would Adaize be cast out once more? Or would she finally find her place? A village elder stepped forward. We must consult the spirits. The diviner was called. He threw the sacred cowries onto the ground, his face dark with concentration. When he looked up, his voice was steady. The spirits have spoken. The crowd leaned in. The next words would decide Adieza's fate. The diviner's gaze met Obiora's. The spirits demand balance. To restore the chief's honor, a sacrifice must be made. Gasps filled the air. Adieza's stomach twisted. A sacrifice? Her father stiffened. What kind of sacrifice? The diviner's eyes darkened. The past must pay for its sins. A shadow loomed over them. And Adaize realized someone would have to die. The air in the village square was thick with tension. Every eye was on the diviner, waiting for his next words. The demand for a sacrifice had sent a ripple of fear through the crowd. Obiora clenched his fists. What sacrifice do the spirits require? The diviner's gaze was unreadable. Blood must atone for blood. To restore your honor, Chief Obiora, you must offer the life of the one who brought shame upon your lineage. A collective gasp swept through the villagers. Adeza's breath hitched. The meaning was clear. The spirits demanded her death. Mama Eke stepped protectively in front of her. This is madness, she spat. She has suffered enough. Ezikun smirked. The spirits have spoken. If the chief is truly repentant, let him prove it. Obiora's heart pounded in his chest. His mind screamed in protest. Was this the price of redemption? Would he have to kill his own daughter to restore his honor? Silence stretched between father and daughter. The village awaited Obiora's decision. Adize held her son close, her body trembling. Papa, she whispered, her voice breaking. Do you truly believe my death is the answer? Obiora's throat tightened. He had lost so much his land, his title, his dignity. But as he looked at Adieze, he saw something he had refused to see before. She was strong. She had survived what would have broken lesser men. She had brought life into this world despite being cast into darkness. The spirits were not testing Adaize. They were testing him. Obiora lifted his head. No. Gasps rang through the crowd. I will not take my daughter's life, Obiora declared. His voice was steady, firm. If the spirits demand blood, then take mine. The diviner's eyes widened in shock. You are willing to offer yourself? Obiora nodded. I have wronged her. I have wronged the ancestors. If there is a price to pay, let it be me. Adaize's eyes filled with tears. Papa! Ezikun stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. This is foolishness. The village cannot be led by a man who defies the spirits. Obiora turned to the villagers. Then cast me out. Strip me of my title. Let my name be forgotten. But I will not spill the blood of my own child. A murmur spread through the crowd. Some elders exchanged uneasy glances. Others nodded solemnly. The diviner studied Obiora for a long moment before closing his eyes. He threw the cowries onto the ground once more. Then he smiled. "The spirits have found favor in your sacrifice," he announced. "The curse is lifted." A stunned silence followed. The yams would grow again. The chief's honor was restored. And Adese's life was spared. But the true battle was far from over. Izikun, seething with fury, stormed away. And as Adese looked at her father, she knew though the spirits had forgiven them, their enemies had not. The next morning, the village was different. The tension that had weighed upon it for months had begun to lift. Some villagers still whispered, still eyed Adese with wariness, but they no longer looked at her as a curse. Mama Ike smiled at her. "You are free, child." Adese nodded, but her heart was heavy. She turned to her father, who had stood by her side through the night, his face weary but resolute. "Papa," she said softly, "what happens now?" Obiora looked over the village he had ruled for so long. "Now," he murmured, "we rebuild." But deep in the shadows of the village, Eziakun's rage burned. He had been so close to taking power, and Obiora had defied him. "This is not over," he whispered to himself. As the sun rose over Umueze, a new battle was on the horizon, one that would test everything they had fought for. And this time, the enemy would not be the spirits. It would be their own people. The air in Umueze remained thick with unease despite the spirits' judgment. Though Obiora had defied the sacrifice and restored his honor, not all were satisfied. Esikun moved through the village like a snake in the grass, whispering poison into the ears of those who had once questioned Obiora's rule. "Do you truly believe the spirits have forgiven him?" he asked a group of young warriors. "Do you think Adese's return is a blessing?" "No, it is a trick. The spirits test us still." Some nodded in agreement, their uncertainty growing. "Obiora has lost his strength," Ezekun continued, his voice low and commanding. "He is weak. He lets shame walk freely among us. But there is still time to set things right." One of the warriors frowned. "What do you mean?" Izikun leaned in, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Obiora must be removed." A dangerous fire had been lit, and soon it would consume them all. Obiora sat outside his obi, watching as the village slowly began to heal. His people had begun tending to their farms again. The sounds of laughter had returned to the air, though some still held on to their suspicions. Adese sat beside him, her son nestled in her arms. "The village will never be the same," she murmured. Obiora nodded. "Change does not come easily, but you are home now." For the first time in a long time, Adese allowed herself to believe it. She had endured pain, betrayal, and suffering, yet she had survived. She had a son to protect, a life to rebuild. She turned to her father, searching his face. "Do you regret what you did?" Obiora exhaled. "Every single day." Adese's heart softened. The man before her was not the same man who had cast her out. He was trying. And for now, that was enough. But peace, as always, was fleeting. Because trouble was brewing just beyond their walls. Under the cover of darkness, Ezekun made his move. He had gathered enough supporters warriors who believed Obiora's time was over. They moved like ghosts through the village, their feet silent against the dirt. The plan was simple. Obiora would not see another sunrise. A knife would end his rule, and by morning Ezekun would take his place. As the men neared the chief's obi, the air was thick with tension. One warrior hesitated. "Are we sure about this?" Ezekun's eyes flashed. "Hesitation is for cowards. If we do not act now, Umueze will rot under Obiora's weakness." The man swallowed hard, but nodded. Ezekun lifted his knife. "Tonight, the chief dies." Obiora awoke to the sound of footsteps. His instincts, sharpened by years of battle and leadership, sent a chill down his spine. He reached for his staff, his body tense. Then the door burst open. The first attacker lunged, but Obiora was ready. He swung his staff, striking the man's head with a sickening crack. The warrior crumpled to the ground. Shouts erupted as more men stormed in. Obiora fought with the strength of a man protecting his legacy, his family. He struck, dodged, and countered with brutal efficiency. But he was outnumbered. A blade slashed across his arm, drawing blood. Another warrior aimed for his chest. Before the fatal blow could land, a sharp scream split the air. "Stop!" Adeize stood in the doorway, her face pale with fury. In her arms, her son cried. Izukun's eyes gleamed with triumph. "You should not have come, girl." Obiora staggered, blood dripping onto the floor. "This is between us. Leave her out of it." Izukun sneered. "You think this is just about you?" "No, Obiora. This is about restoring honor to our people. And she," he pointed at Adeize, "is a stain that must be removed." Adeize's blood ran cold. This was no longer just an attack on her father. It was an attack on her. The hut exploded into chaos. Adeize grabbed a wooden stool and swung it at one of the warriors, striking him in the chest. He stumbled back, cursing. Obiora, despite his injuries, fought with the last of his strength. Mama Eke, drawn by the commotion, arrived with a group of villagers. The sight of their chief bleeding on the floor sent a shockwave through the crowd. "The chief is under attack," someone shouted. Villagers armed themselves with whatever they could find: machetes, staffs, even farming tools. Izukun's face twisted with rage. "Fools! Do you not see? I fight for you!" But the village had made its choice. A war erupted in the square. Warriors clashed, shouts filled the night, and blood stained the earth. Adeize, fueled by a fury she had never known, struck down one of Izukun's men. Obiora, weakened but unbroken, grabbed Izukun by the throat. "You have betrayed your people," he growled. Izukun choked, struggling. "They need a real leader." Obiora tightened his grip. "Then lead them in death." With one final blow, he ended Izukun's life. The fight was over, but the damage had been done. Dawn broke over Umweze, casting golden light over the battlefield that had been their home. Bodies littered the ground. The village was wounded but standing. Obiora, bloodied but alive, stood before his people. "The time for division is over," he said, his voice hoarse. "Umweze will rise again, but we must do so together." The villagers murmured in agreement. Izukun had fallen, and with him the threat of further betrayal. Adeize stepped forward, her son in her arms. "And what of me?" she asked, her voice steady. The people hesitated. Then, one by one, they lowered their heads in respect. Obiora turned to his daughter, his heart swelling with pride. "You are home, my child." Tears welled in Adaize's eyes. For the first time in years, she truly believed it. Umweze had been broken. But from its ashes, a new legacy would rise. The sun rose over Umweze, casting long shadows over the remnants of the battle. The villagers moved through the square, tending to the wounded, gathering the fallen, and silently acknowledging the price they had paid. Obiora stood at the center, his body weary but his spirit unbroken. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on his shoulders. But for the first time in a long while, he saw a future beyond the mistakes of his past. Adeize watched him from a distance, her son cradled in her arms. The people had accepted her presence, out of fear, others out of genuine change, but there was still hesitation in their eyes. She knew that her place in the village was no longer just a question of acceptance. It was a question of belonging. Mama Eke approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You have survived," she murmured. Adeize exhaled slowly. "Survival is not the same as living." Mama Eke nodded in understanding. "Then you must decide what comes next." The battle was over, but Adeize's journey had just begun. A gathering of the village elders was called. The people needed a leader who could guide them through the aftermath of the rebellion and restore order. Obiora sat before them, his wounds bandaged, but his presence still commanding. "The village must heal," he said. "We must rebuild, not just our homes, but our trust in one another. Ichi Okonkwo, ever the voice of reason, nodded. And what of your daughter? Obiora's expression hardened. She is my child. She is of my blood, and she will remain in Umweze. A murmur spread through the elders. Some nodded in agreement. Others exchanged wary glances. One elder spoke cautiously. She has returned, yes. But what is her place now? She is no longer just the chief's daughter. She is a mother to a child whose father is not known to us. Adayaz, who had been standing at the edge of the gathering, stepped forward. His father may not be known to you, she said firmly. But he is of Umweze, and so am I. The boldness in her voice silenced them. For the first time, they truly saw her not as a fallen daughter, but as a woman who had fought for her right to exist. After a long silence, Ichi Okonkwo spoke again. Then let her prove it. A challenge had been issued, and Adaize had no choice but to accept. The elders decreed that Adaize must contribute to the village's rebuilding if she wished to be fully accepted. It was not enough for her to have returned, she had to earn her place. Some saw it as an opportunity for redemption, others, a test of her resilience. Adaize, however, saw it as something else entirely. A battle for respect. She worked tirelessly helping to rebuild fallen homes, gathering food, caring for the wounded. When some doubted her, she worked harder. When others whispered, she ignored them. Her hands, once soft from privilege, became calloused from labor. Her back ached. Her body screamed for rest, but she refused to give in. Slowly, the whispers against her began to fade. The villagers started to nod in acknowledgement when she passed. Children, once warned to stay away, began to follow her curiously. And for the first time in years, she felt something she had long thought lost. Hope. After weeks of proving herself, Adaize was summoned before the elders once more. She stood tall, her son wrapped on her back, her gaze unwavering. Ichi Okonkwo studied her carefully. You have shown strength, he admitted. You have worked for your place. Obiora watched in silence, pride flickering in his eyes. But one question remains, another elder said. What future do you seek? Adaize inhaled deeply. I do not seek a future dictated by shame, she said. I do not wish to be remembered as the girl who fell, but as the woman who rose again. A murmur spread through the council. And how will you do this? Okonkwo asked. Adaize looked them in the eye. By becoming more than just the chief's daughter. Obiora's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Adize's lips parted. She had made her decision. I want a seat among the elders. Gasps rippled through the room. A woman among the elders. It had never been done. But Adaize was done following paths carved for her. She would carve her own. The village erupted in debate. Some saw Adaize's request as bold and necessary a sign that Umweze's was changing. Others saw it as an abomination. A woman among the elders? An old man scoffed. It is unheard of. She has fought harder than any man, another countered. Should that not be enough? Even Obiora was conflicted. His daughter had proven herself, but tradition was deeply rooted. If he supported her, he would anger the conservatives in the village. If he refused, he would break her heart. Adaize watched as the men argued, but she remained silent. She had said what needed to be said. Now, she would wait for their answer. 3 days passed before the council reached a decision. Adaize was summoned before them once more. The village gathered to watch, the tension palpable. Ichi Okonkwo stepped forward. We have spoken, and though some remain opposed, the majority have agreed. Adaize's heart pounded. You shall take a seat among the elders. Gasps rang through the crowd. Obiora's face was unreadable. But when Adaize turned to him, she saw something unexpected. Pride. He stepped forward, resting a hand on her shoulder. You have done what no one thought possible. Tears burned in Adaize's eyes. I only did what was necessary. The village had been changed forever. Anadeze had reclaimed her place not just as the chief's daughter, but as a leader in her own right. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time in her life, she was ready to face it. The village square was crowded as the ceremony began. A makeshift stool, carved from sacred Iroko wood, was placed among the elders' council. It was a Deza Siata symbol of the unprecedented change taking place in Umueze. Obiora stood tall, his voice carrying through the air. For generations, this council has been ruled by tradition. Today, we welcome a new pathone that honors not just our past, but our future. The elders nodded, though some were reluctant. Adeza approached with measured steps, her son strapped to her back. As she sat upon the stool, murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some still saw her as an outcast, others as a beacon of progress. Ichio Konkwo raised his staff. Let it be known that Adaize, daughter of Obiora, has earned her place among us. May she rule with wisdom and strength. A cheer erupted from the younger villagers, but not all celebrated. In the shadows, those who opposed this change watched with narrowed eyes. Adiz had won her seat, but keeping it would be a different battle entirely. Not all of Azikan's supporters had died with him. Some had remained silent, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. One of them, a man named Namdi, had once been a trusted warrior of the village. Now, he was a man fueled by vengeance. She thinks she belongs among the elders? Namdi sneered as he met with a small group of men in the shadows of the forest. She will ruin everything. Women do not belong in power. One of the men hesitated. But the spirits judged her. They spared her. Nanamdi's eyes darkened. Spirits can be manipulated. Men are the ones who rule. A plan was forming in his mind. A plan to undo everything Adaize had worked for. He would strike where it hurt the most. Days passed, and Adaize found herself facing new challenges. Though she had earned her place among the elders, not all of them treated her as an equal. Some dismissed her words outright. Others barely acknowledged her presence. Obiora noticed the struggle. One evening, he found her sitting alone outside her hut, staring at the stars. "You have done well," he said gently. Adaize sighed. "Have I? I sit among them, yet I am still treated as an outsider." Obiora nodded. "Change does not happen overnight." "But what if it never happens?" she whispered. Her father was silent for a long moment before he said, "Then you fight until it does." Adaize exhaled. She had survived exile, hunger, and betrayal. She would survive this, too. What she did not know was that her greatest battle had yet to come. The night was thick with silence when the attack came. Adaize had just put her son to sleep when she heard the rustling outside her hut. At first, she thought it was the wind until she saw the shadow moving. Her pulse quickened. She reached for a wooden staff beside her sleeping mat and moved toward the entrance. Then, the door burst open. Two men lunged at her. Adaize swung the staff with all her strength, striking one across the face. He yelped, stumbling back. The other grabbed her wrist, twisting it painfully. Panic surged through her. They were trying to take her. A scream tore from her throat, shattering the night's silence. Mama Ike's voice echoed outside. "Help! Help!" The village erupted into chaos. Within moments, warriors arrived. Obiora at the forefront. The attackers, realizing they were outnumbered, fled into the darkness. Adaize gasped for breath, clutching her wrist. Obiora knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, though her hands trembled. "They were going to take me." The elders gathered, their faces grim. "This was not a random attack," Ichi Okonkwo said. "Someone in the village wants you gone." Adaize's stomach twisted. Her fight for acceptance had turned into a fight for survival. Morning brought a restless energy to Umueze. The warriors searched the village, questioning those who had opposed Adaize's place among the elders. Tensions rose. Some denied any involvement. Others remained suspiciously silent. Obiora called for a meeting of the council. "This act of violence will not go unpunished," he declared. "We must root out the traitors before they strike again." Nanamdi, standing among the crowd, kept his expression neutral. He had underestimated Adaize's resilience. She had survived yet again. But he was not done. He would wait, bide his time, and when the moment was right, he would finish what he started. Meanwhile, Adaize stood before the people of Umueze, her chin lifted high. "I will not run," she declared. "I will not cower. If there are those who wish to see me gone, let them face me openly." Some villagers murmured in admiration. Others exchanged uneasy glances. She had made a stand. But at what cost? The battle for Umueze had only begun. And this time, Adaize would not fight alone. The village of Umueze was tense. The attack on Adaize had shaken everyone, and trust was wearing thin. Obiora's warriors scoured the land, searching for those responsible, but no one had confessed. The villagers whispered in hushed tones, afraid to speak too loudly lest they be accused. Mama Eke watched from the market square, her sharp eyes scanning the people. "Fear has poisoned this village," she murmured. Adaize stood beside her, her expression unreadable. "Fear can be turned into power," she said, "but only if we're the ones who control it." Mama Ike studied her carefully. "And how do you intend to do that, child?" Adaize exhaled slowly. "By showing them that I am not afraid." The time had come to confront her enemies not in the shadows, but in the open. And so, she made a decision that would change everything. She would challenge them before the entire village. Obiora's council gathered in the square, surrounded by curious villagers. Adaize stepped forward, her voice steady. "Someone in this village seeks to remove me. They send cowards in the night to do their bidding, but I will not hide." The murmurs grew louder. No one had expected her to be so bold. "I offer a challenge," she continued. "If any man believes I do not deserve my place among the elders, let him face me now in the light of day." The village fell silent. No one stepped forward. Then a slow clap echoed from the back of the crowd. Namdi pushed his way through, his expression smug. "You speak like a warrior, but you are just a woman who got lucky," he sneered. Adaize met his gaze without flinching. "Then prove it." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ichi Okonkwo stepped forward, frowning. "Adaize, this is dangerous." But she did not waver. "If I do not stand against him, more will come. Let them see who I truly am." The challenge had been set. And soon, the battle would begin. The elders agreed that the challenge would take place at dawn. The rules were simple. A battle of endurance, strength, and wisdom. If Adaize lost, she would step down. If she won, no one would ever question her again. That night, as she prepared, her father entered her hut. "You do not have to do this," Obiora said quietly. Adaize turned to him. "Yes, I do." His eyes softened. "Then fight not just for yourself, but for every woman who will come after you." She nodded, gripping his hand briefly before he left. When dawn arrived, the village gathered at the training grounds. Adaize and Nanamdi stood opposite each other, the tension between them like a coiled snake. The battle for respect had begun. Namdi struck first. He lunged, his strength undeniable, but Adaize was faster. She dodged, striking back with a swift elbow to his ribs. The crowd gasped. Namdi growled, swinging wildly. Adaize ducked, using his weight against him. She tripped him, sending him crashing into the dirt. The elders watched closely. This was not just a fight, it was a statement. Nanamdi roared in frustration. "You will never be a leader," he spat. Adaize wiped sweat from her brow. "I already am." With one final calculated strike, she knocked him to the ground. The village erupted into cheers. The fight was over, and Adaize had won. Nanamdi lay on the ground, panting, his pride shattered. Obiora stepped forward. "The challenge has been met. The people have spoken." The elders nodded in agreement. Adaize turned to the villagers, her chest rising with steady breaths. "I have fought for my place, not just for myself, but for every woman who has been silenced." A young girl in the crowd stared at her with wide eyes, admiration shining in them. And in that moment, Araize knew this was bigger than her. It was the beginning of a new era. As she stood tall, the village chanted her name. She had not just earned her place. She had changed history. But in the shadows, enemies still lurked. And her fight was far from over. Adese's victory sent ripples through Umueze. The villagers now spoke her name with respect, and young women looked at her with newfound hope. She had defied tradition and won. But not all celebrated. In the corners of the village, whispers of resentment still festered. Namdi's defeat had embarrassed those who opposed Adese's rise, and they would not forget so easily. Obiora watched the village closely. He knew power was a fragile thing, and just because Adise had won a battle did not mean the war was over. One evening, as Adese bathed her son, Mama Eke entered the hut with a worried expression. "There is talk," she murmured. "Those who followed Ezikun and Nnamdi, they are not finished." Adese's heart tightened. What are they planning? Mama Ike hesitated. That is what we must find out before it is too late. The enemy had been wounded. But a wounded animal is the most dangerous of all. That night, as the village slept, a figure slipped into Adese's hut. She woke instantly, her hand reaching for the wooden staff beside her. The shadowed figure held up their hands in surrender. "Do not scream," the voice whispered. It was a young boy, no older than 10. His small frame trembled in fear. "What are you doing here?" Adise demanded, keeping her voice low. The boy hesitated before whispering, "They are coming for you." Adese's blood ran cold. "Who?" she pressed. "The ones who do not want you to rule," the boy said. "They say you must die before the next moon." Adese's grip tightened on her staff. She had been expecting resistance, but an assassination attempt? She reached forward, gently touching the boy's shoulder. "Who are you?" He looked down. "My father followed Ezikun," he admitted. "But I do not want to see more blood." Tears burned in Adese's eyes. Even children had been caught in this war. She nodded. "Thank you for telling me. Now go before they find out you warned me." As the boy disappeared into the night, Adese's heart pounded. She had until the next moon. She would not wait for death to find her. She would strike first. At dawn, Adise gathered her allies, Obiora, Mama Eke, and Ichi Okonkwo. She told them of the warning. Obiora's face darkened. "We must root them out before they can act." Ichi Okonkwo nodded. The boy would not have risked his life if it were not true. Adise turned to Mama Eke. "You have always been wise. What do we do?" The old woman exhaled. "We must set a trap. If they believe you are vulnerable, they will come." Adese met her father's eyes. "Then I will be the bait." Obiora hesitated, his protective instincts warring with his understanding of her strength. Finally, he nodded. "Then we will be waiting in the shadows." The plan was set. Now, they had to see who would take the bait. The village seemed quiet as Adese moved alone through the marketplace after sunset. She appeared unguarded, carrying her child as if she had no worries in the world. But in the darkness, warriors lay in wait. Obiora, Mama Eke, and their most trusted men remained hidden, watching for any sign of movement. Then it happened. A shadow moved behind Adese. A blade flashed in the moonlight. Before the assassin could strike, Adise spun around, her staff swinging with deadly precision. The man stumbled back, caught off guard. From the shadows, Obiora and his warriors emerged, surrounding him. Trapped. The assassin dropped his weapon, his face twisting in anger. "You think killing me will stop them?" he sneered. "More will come." Obiora stepped forward. "Who sent you?" The man's lips curled into a cruel smile. "You already know?" "Nnamdi." Obiora clenched his jaw. "Take him." The assassin was dragged away. But Adese knew this was not over. Nnamdi had played his hand. Now, it was time to end this. The sun had not yet risen when Obiora's warriors stormed Nnamdi's compound. They found him waiting, a smirk on his face. "You are too late," he said. "Others will rise, even if I fall." Adaze stepped forward. "Then let them see what happens to traitors." She did not hesitate. With a swift motion, she signaled for his arrest. Nnamdi struggled, but he was outnumbered. As the villagers gathered, they saw him being dragged into the square. Obiora's voice rang out. "This man conspired to kill my daughter. He sought to undo the will of the spirits. His punishment will be decided by the elders." The people murmured, nodding in agreement. Nnamdi's face twisted in fury. "You think this makes you strong?" He spat at Adaze. She looked at him, unshaken. "No. My strength was proven the moment I survived you." The elders sentenced him to exile. He would never return to Umueze. As he was led away, Adaze turned to the people. "This is the last time a woman in Umueze will have to fight for her right to be seen as equal," she declared. The cheers of the villagers filled the air. She had won. Not just her place, but the future of every woman who would come after her. Obiora placed a hand on her shoulder, his pride evident. "You are truly my daughter." Adaze smiled. "I always was." As the sun rose, so did a new era for Umueze. And at the heart of it all stood Ade's daughter, mother, warrior, and leader. Her story was not just one of survival. It was one of triumph. Chike reappearance. The sun had just begun to set over Umueze when Adaze heard the commotion in the village square. She had spent the day meeting with the elders, discussing preparations for the upcoming harvest festival. Life in Umueze had settled into a rhythm of hard work, stability, and progress. But when she stepped outside and saw the villagers gathered in a hushed, murmuring crowd, she knew something had disturbed that peace. At the center of it all stood a man a stranger to some, but to Adaze, his face was one she could never forget. Chike. Her heart pounded. He was different now. Gone was the desperate, wounded man she had last seen. In his place stood a man dressed in fine robes, his skin glowing with the richness of wealth. A golden necklace rested on his chest, and his feet were adorned with expensive leather sandals. Even his posture was different, confident, sure of himself. The villagers whispered among themselves, "Who is he? Is he a traitor? He looks powerful." Then, Chike's gaze found hers. "Adaze," he said, his voice smooth, almost unfamiliar. "I have returned for you." The air in the village square became thick with tension. Adaze's grip tightened around the bundle of cloth she held. She could hardly believe what she was seeing. Chike was back. And this time, he was not a broken man begging for help. He was here to claim what he believed was his. The weight of Chike's words hung in the air, suffocating, inescapable. The villagers around Adaze watched with wide eyes, their curiosity almost as heavy as her rising anger. "I have returned for you." The audacity. Adaze's fingers curled into fists. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but she willed herself to stay composed. She would not let him see how deeply his presence unsettled her. She took a slow step forward, her voice sharp and unwavering. "You speak as though I have been waiting for you." A flicker of something regret crossed Chike's face, but he quickly masked it with a smile. "I know I made mistakes, Adaze, but I am not the man I was before." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. They knew the story of Chike, the man who had abandoned Adaze when she needed him most. The man who had betrayed her trust not once, but twice. Mama Eke appeared beside Adaze, her wise eyes scanning Chike from head to toe. She tapped her walking stick against the ground. "You walk like a man who has seen fortune." Chike smiled, his white teeth flashing against his dark skin. "I have. The gods have been kind to me." Mama Eke scoffed. "And what do you want with the one you left behind?" Chike's gaze returned to Adaze, his expression turning serious. "I came to make things right. I have wealth now, land, a house far greater than anything Umueze has ever seen. I have built a life worthy of a family, and I want you and our son to be part of it." A stunned silence fell over the villagers. Adaize's jaw clenched. Chike had abandoned her when she was at her lowest. He had left her to suffer, to struggle alone. And now, just because he had wealth, he believed he could waltz back into her life and claim her like a prize? She took a deep breath, her voice cold and cutting. "You expect me to believe you have changed?" She let out a bitter laugh. "You think your riches erase the pain you caused?" Chike swallowed, stepping forward, but she held up a hand, stopping him in his tracks. "I am not the same woman you left behind," she said firmly. "I do not need saving." The villagers murmured in approval. Chike's confidence faltered. This was not going to be as easy as he had hoped. That night, Adaize sat outside her hut, staring at the sky. The stars stretched endlessly above her, but her mind was restless, tangled in memories she had buried long ago. Chike's return had unsettled something deep inside her. He had been a coward. He had broken her heart. He had left her to be humiliated and cast out. But now he was back. And not just back, he was powerful. What if he truly had changed? The thought was dangerous. It was a weakness she could not afford. A soft rustle of footsteps pulled her from her thoughts. Mama Eke sat beside her, watching her carefully. "You are thinking about him," the old woman said knowingly. Adaize sighed. "How could I not?" Mama Eke nodded slowly. "A man like Chike does not return without reason. But the question is, does he return for love or to soothe his own guilt?" Adaize looked down at her hands. She did not know the answer, and that terrified her. By morning, the news of Chike's return had spread through Umueze like wildfire. Some villagers saw it as Fatea's long-lost father returning to claim his family. Others, especially the women, warned Adaize to tread carefully. "Men do not change overnight," one of the older women, Nwani, warned. "He left you once, he can leave you again." But there were others, particularly the younger women, who whispered of romance and destiny. "He is rich now," a girl sighed dreamily. "And he came back for her. Isn't that love?" "He could take her away from here," another added. "Give her a better life." The division grew quickly. Even the elders began to murmur among themselves. Some believed that allowing Adaize to leave with Chike would bring prosperity to the village, a powerful alliance with a man of wealth. Others feared it would undo everything Adaize had worked for. Obiora, her father, watched the events unfold with a dark expression. That evening, he called Adaize to his obi. "You must tread carefully," he warned. Adaize crossed her arms. "You do not trust him either." Obiora's jaw tightened. "I trust what I have seen, and I have seen men like Chike before. Power changes people, and not always for the better." Adaize met his gaze. "And what if he truly means well?" Obiora exhaled. "Then he will prove it. But until then, do not be fooled by wealth. It is a mask that hides many faces." She nodded, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. Did she truly know Chike anymore? The next day, Chike sent for Adaize. Reluctantly, she met him at the edge of the river, away from prying eyes. He was waiting for her, dressed in fine robes, his hands folded in front of him. "I know I have hurt you," he began, "and I know words are not enough to fix what I did." Adaize remained silent. Chike took a deep breath. "But I am here now, and I want to do things the right way." She frowned. "And what does that mean?" His eyes softened. "Marry me." Her heart stopped. She had expected him to beg, to plead, maybe even to offer gifts. But this? "You cannot be serious." "I am," he said firmly. "I want to make things right, not just for you, but for our son. Let me give you the life you deserve." Adaize stared at him, her mind reeling. Marriage? To the man who had once abandoned her? She turned away, her chest tight. "You ask too much, Chike." Chike stepped forward. "Then let me prove myself." She swallowed hard. If she let him, if she gave him even the smallest chance, would she regret it? Or would she regret letting him go? The choice loomed before her like a storm on the horizon. And no matter what she chose, there would be no turning back. Adeze barely slept that night. Chaik's words haunted her, his proposal playing over and over in her mind. Marry him. She had spent years surviving on her own, fighting for her place in the village, building her independence. Now, the man who had once abandoned her wanted to claim her as his wife? Morning came with no answers. Mama Eke found her sitting outside her hut, staring into the distance. "You have the look of a woman burdened by too many thoughts," the old woman said. Adeze sighed. "He asked me to marry him." Mama Ike's eyebrows lifted. "And what did you say?" "I told him nothing." Mama Ike chuckled. "A wise response." Adeze turned to her, frustration in her eyes. "What if he truly has changed?" Mama Eke studied her carefully. "And what if he has not?" Adeze exhaled. That was the question, wasn't it? Before she could say more, a group of village women approached her hut. Their faces were expectant, eager. One of them, Enkem, spoke first. "Is it true?" Adeze frowned. "Is what true?" "That Chaik asked you to marry him." The excitement in their eyes made Adeze's stomach turn. "So what if he did?" she asked. Enkem gasped. "Adeze, he is rich, handsome, and he came back for you. What more do you need?" Another woman, Amaka, nodded eagerly. "Many of us would kill for such a chance." Adeze's patience snapped. "You would kill for a man who left you in your worst moment?" The women exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. Finally, Enkem sighed. "You are too stubborn, Adias. The gods have blessed you, and yet you fight it." Adeze watched them leave, her chest tightening. Was she truly being foolish? Or was she the only one seeing the truth? Obiora was waiting for her when she arrived at his hut that evening. He had heard the rumors. "You have a decision to make," he said, his voice steady. Adeze folded her arms. "Everyone seems to think it is an easy one." Her father leaned forward. "And do you?" She hesitated. "I don't know." Obiora exhaled. "Do you love him?" The question caught her off guard. Love? Was that even a factor anymore? She had loved Chaik once, or at least she had thought she had. But love had not saved her from betrayal. "I don't know," she admitted. Obiora studied her for a moment. "Then do not let his wealth blind you. Power can change a man, but only you can decide if it has changed him for the better." Adeze nodded. But deep down, she knew she needed to hear the truth from Chaik himself. The next day, Adeze went to find Cheek. She found him standing near the river, watching the water flow. His robes were pristine, his gold necklace gleaming in the sunlight. "You have something to say to me," he said without turning around. Adeze stepped forward. "Why now?" He turned to her, confused. "What do you mean?" "Why now?" she repeated. "Why return when I have finally built a life of my own? Why ask for my hand after years of absence?" Chaik sighed. "Because I have spent those years regretting what I did." She narrowed her eyes. "Regret is not enough." He met her gaze. "Then what is?" Adeze's voice was sharp. "The truth." Chaik was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "When I left, I was a coward," he admitted. "I was afraid of what our child would mean for my future. I chose myself over you, and I will never forgive myself for that." She clenched her jaw, but he continued. "But I have worked hard to become a man worthy of you. I have built a future, a home. I want you and our son to have the life I should have given you years ago." Adeze swallowed hard. His words sounded sincere, but could she trust them? Chaik stepped forward. "I do not ask you to say yes immediately, only that you consider it." She took a deep breath, her emotions warring inside her. "Then I will," she said. And with that, she walked away, leaving Chaik staring after her. Word spread quickly. Adeze was considering Chaik's proposal. The village erupted into debate. Some were thrilled. She should accept. It would be good for the village to be connected to a man of such wealth. Others were wary. She has fought so hard for her independence. Will marriage not strip that from her? Obiora listened to the debates in silence. He saw the way the village was splitting, those who saw Chaik's return as a blessing, and those who saw it as a threat. And then there were those who had darker thoughts. A group of men gathered in secret that night. If Adaeze leaves, we lose our strongest voice, one murmured. She has changed this village. If she leaves, we may never see another woman rise as she has. One of them, Uche, leaned forward. Then we must ensure she stays. A dangerous plan was forming. One that would change everything. Adaeze awoke to the sound of hurried footsteps outside her hut. Mama Ike burst inside, breathless. They're calling for you. Adaeze frowned. Who? The elders. They say it is urgent. Suspicion prickled at her, but she nodded and followed Mama Ike to the village square. There, the elders stood in a circle, their expressions unreadable. Ichi Okonkwo, one of the eldest, stepped forward. Adaeze, we have gathered to discuss your future. Her heart pounded. What do you mean? She asked carefully. Okonkwo exhaled. You have done much for this village, but there are those who fear what your departure will mean. Adaeze's eyes narrowed. Are you saying I am not allowed to leave? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. We only wish to ensure that the choice you make is truly yours, another elder said. She felt it then, the pressure, the expectation. This was not just about Chaik. This was about her legacy. If she left, she might never return. If she stayed, she might never know what else life had to offer. The village had set its trap, not with force, but with duty. And now, Adaeze stood at the crossroads. The next step she took would change everything. The village square buzzed with murmurs as Adaeze stood before the elders. The weight of their words settled on her shoulders like an iron chain. She had fought so hard to earn her place in Umweze. Every battle, every sacrifice, had been to prove that she was more than just a woman cast aside. Now, they wanted her to stay not for her sake, but for theirs. Obiora watched her carefully, his face unreadable. Mama Eke, standing beside her, was silent but alert. She knew what was happening. This was not a request. It was an expectation. Adaeze took a deep breath. I have served this village with all my strength, but my life, my son's life, cannot be dictated by duty alone. Some elders nodded in understanding, but others frowned. Ichi Okonkwo sighed. We do not wish to trap you, Adaeze. We only ask that you consider what your absence will mean for us. I have considered it, she said firmly, but I must also consider what my future will mean for me. Silence. Then Obiora spoke. Let her go. The village turned to him in shock. He met Adaeze's gaze, his voice steady. If she chooses to leave, it will be by her own will, not by the demands of tradition. The elders looked at one another. Finally, Ichi Okonkwo nodded. Then we will not stand in your way. But as Adaeze walked away, she knew the battle was far from over. Some would not accept her departure so easily, and others would do anything to stop it. That night, Adaeze lay awake, staring at the wooden ceiling of her hut. Her son, now a growing boy, slept peacefully beside her. Leaving Umwese meant taking him away from everything he had ever known. Could she do that? Would he ever forgive her? Mama Ike entered the hut quietly, sitting beside her. You are troubled, she murmured. Adaeze exhaled. If I leave, he loses his home. Mama Eke studied her carefully. And if you stay, what do you lose? The question sent a shiver down Adaeze's spine. Her independence. Her chance at a new life. Her chance at love? She didn't know what she felt for Chaik, but she did know one thing: she was afraid. Afraid of making the wrong choice. Afraid of trusting him again. Afraid of losing herself. She closed her eyes. Tomorrow she would seek answers. And she would start with Chaik. The morning sun painted the sky in gold and crimson as Adaeze approached Chaik's camp outside the village. He was waiting for her, You came, he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. She crossed her arms. I need to understand something. Chike nodded. Ask me anything. Her voice was sharp. If I say no, will you still stay? His smile faded. He hesitated, then met her gaze. No, if you refuse me, I will leave. Her heart clenched. She had expected as much, but hearing it confirmed felt like a dagger to the chest. You would leave your son behind? She asked, her voice cold. Chike's jaw tightened. I would never abandon him, but I will not force you to come with me. Adaiza studied him. She wanted to believe him, but belief was not enough. She needed proof. Then show me, she said. Prove to me that you are the man you claim to be. Chike nodded, determination flashing in his eyes. I will. And so, the test began. Chike spent the following days proving himself. He worked alongside the villagers, helping to rebuild homes, share resources, and even contribute wealth from his own fortune. He played with their son, showing him a tenderness Adaize had never seen before. Slowly, the villagers' attitudes toward him began to shift. Mama Eke observed it all with keen eyes. He is different, she admitted. Adaize frowned. Or he is simply trying to win favor. Mama Ike chuckled. Even if he is, a man does not fake kindness toward his own child. Adaize remained skeptical, but she couldn't deny what she saw. Chike was patient. He did not push her. He did not demand. He simply stayed. For the first time, she wondered, could she truly forgive him? Just as Adaize began to consider a future with Chike, disaster struck. One evening, as the villagers gathered for a meeting, a young man burst into the square, breathless and frantic. They took him, he cried. Adaize's blood ran cold. Who? The boy gulped, his eyes wild with fear. Your son! A scream lodged in her throat. The village erupted into chaos. Warriors scattered, searching, but Adaize already knew. This was not the act of outsiders. This was the work of those who did not want her to leave. Panic clawed at her chest, but she forced herself to stay calm. She would find him, and she would make them pay. The village was in turmoil. Warriors scattered in all directions, searching for Adaize's missing son. Torches were lit, their flames cutting through the dark like piercing eyes. Adaize's heart pounded as she rushed through the square, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. Who had taken him? Why? Chike was by her side, his face contorted with rage. I swear I will find him, he growled. Mama Eke grabbed Adaize's arm, her voice urgent. Think, child. Who would do this? Adaize clenched her fists. There was only one answer. The ones who do not want me to leave. Obiora, who had been standing quietly in the background, now stepped forward. His face was grim. Then we must find out who among us has betrayed you. A deep anger boiled within Adaize. She had fought too hard, survived too much, to lose her son now. Whoever had done this would regret it. The search for Adaize's son stretched deep into the night. Warriors combed through every hut, every hidden corner of Umueze. But it was Mama Eke who found the first clue. Near the edge of the village, in a patch of disturbed earth, she knelt down and ran her fingers over footprints in the dirt. They are headed toward the forest, she murmured. Adaize's stomach twisted. The forest? It was forbidden to travel deep into the woods at night. Spirits were said to linger there, waiting for lost souls. Chike cursed. Cowards! They think we will not follow them. Adaize straightened, her jaw set. Then they do not know me. Obiora stepped forward. I will send warriors with you. But Adaize shook her head. No, this is my battle. Chike stepped beside her. And mine. Together, they disappeared into the darkness, the forest swallowing them whole. The forest was alive with sound. Crickets chirped, unseen creatures rustled in the undergrowth. But Adaize heard only one thing, the distant cry of her son. Her pulse raced. Faster, she whispered. They moved like shadows, following the footprints in the dirt. Chike's hand rested on his knife, his eyes scanning every tree. Then, through the thickets, they saw them. 5 men stood in a clearing, their faces hidden behind cloth masks. Adaiza's son sat bound at the base of a tree, whimpering softly. Adaiza's blood burned with fury. Before she could step forward, Chike grabbed her wrist. "Wait!" She turned to him, furious. "Wait? They have my son!" Chike's gaze was locked on the men. "Look closer." Adaiz did. And when she did, her breath caught. One of the men was Uchione of the elders, who had spoken against her leaving. Rage blinded her. She stepped into the clearing, her voice cutting through the night. "Let him go." The men spun around, startled. Uche's eyes widened. "You should not be here." Ariez lifted her chin. "And yet, here I am." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Uche sighed. "You were never meant to see this," he said. "We were only going to keep him long enough to make you see sense." Adaiza's stomach twisted. "You dare take my child to control me?" Uche shook his head. "You are too important to this village, Adaize. If you leave, the balance will be broken." Chike drew his knife. "Then perhaps you should find a new balance." Uche's men shifted uneasily. They had expected a frightened mother, not a warrior ready to fight. Adaiz stepped forward. "You took my son. For that, I will make sure you regret it." Before Uche could react, Adaize struck. She lunged at him, her hands gripping his robes, forcing him backward. He stumbled, his eyes wide with shock. "You think you can steal my child and walk away unpunished?" she hissed. Chike moved like a storm, knocking down one of Uche's men with a swift blow. The others panicked, realizing they had underestimated them. A brief scuffle erupted, but it was over in moments. Adaiza and Chike were faster, stronger, fueled by the rage of parents protecting their child. Uche, bleeding from a cut on his cheek, collapsed to the ground. "We only did what was necessary," he groaned. Adizi grabbed his collar, her voice a whisper of fury. "If you ever come near my son again, I will do what the elders will not. I will end you." Uche nodded weakly. He knew she meant it. She turned, running to her son, untying his bindings and pulling him into her arms. He sobbed against her chest, his tiny hands gripping her tightly. Chike knelt beside them. "It's over," he whispered. Adize held her son close. "No," she said. "Not yet." There was still a reckoning to come. The return to Umweze was a storm. The entire village gathered in the square as the warriors dragged Uche and his men before the elders. Gasps filled the air as the truth was revealed. Obiora's face was stone. "You stole a child," he said coldly. "You betrayed your own people." Uche bowed his head. "I did what I thought was best." Adeze stepped forward. "You did what was best for you." The elders murmured among themselves. Some were ashamed. Others were furious. Ichi Okonkwo stood. "Uche, for your crimes against Adaias and the child of this village, you are hereby banished. You will leave Umweze at sunrise and never return." A silence fell over the crowd. Uche's face crumpled. He knew what exile meant, death, or worse. But no one spoke for him. Obiora turned to his daughter. "You have survived more than most, Adaiza." His voice softened. "What will you do now?" Adaiza looked down at her son, then up at Chike. She did not know if she loved him. She did not know if she could trust him completely. But she knew one thing she wanted to find out. She turned to the village. "I will leave." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "But," she continued, "I will always be part of Umweze, and when the time comes, I will return." Mama Ike smiled. "Then go, child. Live." Obiora nodded. "You have earned that right." The decision was made. And as Adaiz turned to Chike, she knew her journey was only beginning. The morning air was crisp as ADSs stood at the edge of Umwese, her son secured to her back, her heart hammering in her chest. The entire village had gathered to watch her leave. Some faces were solemn, others filled with sorrow. There were those who still disapproved of her decision, believing that her place was among them, while others saw it as the right thing and opportunity for her to seek happiness on her own terms. Obiora stood before her, his expression unreadable. Then, in a rare moment of tenderness, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are my daughter," he said. "Wherever you go, you will always be." Tears burned in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "Thank you, Papa." Mama Eke, standing nearby, smirked. "Don't forget to send word when you have conquered the world." Adieze chuckled softly. "I will." Chaik stood a few feet away, waiting for her. His expression was patient, though she could sense the tension in his body. He knew this was not an easy decision for her. She turned to the village one last time, inhaled deeply, then faced forward. With slow, steady steps, she walked away. And for the first time in years, she was stepping into the unknown not because she had been cast out, but because she had chosen to. The journey was long, the path winding and uncertain. For days, they traveled across vast plains, through dense forests and over rolling hills. Chaik had prepared well. His wealth ensured they had food, shelter, and protection along the way. He hired guards to escort them, and at night, they rested in villages that welcomed them with curiosity and respect. But no matter how much Chaik tried to ease the journey, Adeze felt the weight of change pressing down on her. She had been the strongest woman in Umweze. Now, she was a traveler, a mother, a woman trying to find her place in a new world. Cheek, ever patient, kept his distance when he sensed her need for space. But one evening, as they sat near the fire, he finally spoke. "Do you regret coming with me?" Adieze stared into the flames. "I do not know yet." Chaik exhaled. "That is better than a yes." She smirked slightly. "Do not get too comfortable." A small laugh escaped him, but his eyes were serious. "I will not rush you, Adeze. I only ask that you allow yourself to see me for who I am, now not just the man I used to be." She met his gaze, searching for deception. She found none. But trusting him would take time. And time was something they had plenty of.